Hello and welcome to another episode of the GCSE Maths Question of the Week with me, Mr. Barton, where each week I try to pick you out a beautiful question that's going to help you prepare as best as you possibly can for the demands and challenges of your GCSE Maths exam. Now, I always try to pick out questions that are causing students problems on my Diagnostic Questions website, and this one is a particular classic. Because, well, if you look at the question, a big smile will probably appear on your face because you think, nice one, pie charts. I probably saw a pie chart for the first time, maybe age 7 or 8, something like that. They're dead easy. Well, they are easy, but not in this particular question. So this one's been provided by OCR, and we need to take a very careful look at it. These pie charts show how people travel to work, okay, in 2 towns. The populations of the towns are given. Now, make sure you flipping notice that. The populations of the towns are given. Population. Get that recorded. In which town do more people travel to work by bike? Now, hopefully on this video you can make out the key, but bike is the second one down there, and it's the red stripy thing, okay? So the red stripy section, it represents bike. So let's do some rough calculations here. Let me take town A. So town A has got a population of 2,000. Roughly what proportion of that population travel to work by bike? Well, as I say, bike is this red stripy area down here. I think that's about half. So a half of 2,000. So I'm going to make a rough estimation that that's about 1,000 people traveling to work by bike. Seems fair enough, right? What about town B? So town B, how many are in there? 10,000 people in town B. So let's get that written down. How many people travel to work by bike? Well, can we see it's not quite half, right? It's half would be, if I carry that line on, half will be there. How much is it? Maybe 40%? Would that be about right? Something like that? 40%? Wouldn't be far off, I don't think. So 40% of 10,000. Well, 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. 40%, I'm going to go for 4,000. So when we set it out like that, when the question says in which town, and I guess I should highlight this, do more people travel to work by bike? Well, there's only one answer, right? The town where more people travel to work by bike is town B. But as I say, this question is causing problems on Diagnostic Questions. So it's worth spending a moment now just thinking, where do these other wrong answers come from and what is it revealing? Why might you say town A? Well, I reckon you might say town A because it looks like it's got a bigger proportion. And it has got a bigger proportion. As we said, it's about 50% versus about 40%. So it certainly does have a bigger proportion, but that's not what the question's asking. In which town do more people, not a higher proportion? So you've got to read the question carefully. C, why might they say both the same? Well, this is a bit unlucky, this. I reckon this is students who are taking the populations into account and saying, all right, there's a bigger proportion in town A, but there's a smaller population. And in town B, there's a smaller proportion, but a bigger population, so they balance each other out. But you've got to weigh up your proportions. There's no doubt there's 10,000 people in town B. So what would it need to be as a percent to be both the same? Well, I think it's going to need to be 10%. And there's no way on earth that that red stripy bit in town B takes up 10%. No chance. So it can't be both the same. And what about D? Why might it be impossible to say? Well, this is unlucky. I have sympathy. I reckon that this, somebody saying D, impossible to say, has been taught that you can't get values from pie charts. You can only get proportions. And that's true. Like if you just see a random pie chart, you can probably say, oh, about a quarter of the people like crisps and 10% have a dog and all that kind of stuff. But unless you know actual numbers, you can't tell physical numbers from a pie chart. But we've got numbers. We've got the 2 populations, 2,000 and 10,000. So we can actually answer this question. So there you go, a flipping tricky old pie chart question. And my advice for this is, don't neglect those old topics that you've not seen for ages, because this new GCSE could just twist things round a little bit, and before you know it, a topic you used to like suddenly becomes pretty nasty. Okay? For a little, I normally say at this stage, what other wrong answer would you include? But it's quite hard to come up with the wrong answers for this one. So instead, because I think we've covered them all. So instead, I'll set you a little challenge. I'd just like you to work out roughly how many people travel to work by each of the different modes of transport in the two towns. That'll just get you a bit more comfortable with estimating degrees, working out percents and fractions and so on. And when you work them out, just add up the totals and see if they come close to 2,000 and 10,000. That'll be a good way of checking. And I'll see you for a fresh question of the week next week. Take care. Bye for now.